go get them again.
Welcome back to the Robezoid channel. I'm your host, Mark, and on the docket today we have an unboxing first impression video on the brand of Parfum. The Marley PDM is back, and this time a legend in the PDM lineup, Godolphin. Now, a lot of subscribers are saying, well, how can you judge a brand so harshly when you haven't smelt some of the legends in the lineup? Well, this is part of the early PDM fragrance brand. Huge part of the stepping stone to where the brand is now, which isn't saying much since this fragrance is based upon copying Tuscan leather. Yes, I haven't lived under a rock. I can't just come into a fragrance review and come in blindly and say, oh, I haven't heard of that. Yeah. Now this is part of the Metallics line, and yes, as funny as it sounds, I've never smelt this one. No. As popular as it is in the community, PDM was a brand that, as you know me, I try to ignore as a as a true fragrance head. But as a fragrance reviewer, you know, if I didn't have the channel, PDM would not even cross my radar. I'll be quite honest. I would just look the other way. But with the YouTube channel and what I do, you know, I decant and stuff, things like this come my way. And I'm curious. Yes, I want to see what it's all about. This one right here, like, I can't say it's going to smell bad. There's no way, because it smells like Tuscan leather from what I hear. I own and love. As you can see, Tuscan leather is right beside me. I took out even Tuscan Leather Intense, the Unicorn, the discontinued, the hard to find Tuscan Leather Intense. Great scent, by the way. And I also even took out my ombre leather for good measure. Tuscan leather is like a classic Tom Ford Private Blend. It's classic. It's just like Tobacco Vanille Oud Wood. Doesn't matter if you like the brand or not. That initial launch, those are the staples of the line. And I don't mean like, yeah, you might like Japon Noir better, or, you know, Moss Breche or whatever your liking is. But I'm saying those were the superstars. They are the superstars. They are the ones that made the brand what it was, basically. So they were the early best sellers, and they still sell well to this day, of course. So it would be kind of dumb of me to come in here and think that I'm going to dislike this, unless it's way, like, they really have to screw up if I'm not going to like it. Now, it's going to be in the Wajon. Like, I own Wajon. Like, my early subscribers even go on my recent PDM reviews and say, hey, Mark, you did like Wajon. Yeah, I did. But it was based, again, based on Narguilé from Hermes, a copy. So it's either they smell designer-ish and they're in the same vein of a designer fragrance, or they copy bestsellers from other brands. They're not original. So this is not going to sway me in that idea. Like, it's not going to click and go, oh, wow, PDM is a unique brand. No. But we're going to see what they did with the recipe of Tuscan leather. It is that, like, even Wajon, you know, copying Homme Narguilé from Hermes, Tuscan leather is probably, with Homme Narguilé, one of the most replicated high-end releases of all time. Baccarat Rouge can go into that category now. But Tuscan leather has been copied to, just look it up on the internet and you will find at least 3 dozen, maybe even more. So you don't even have to come here and sniff this. There's cheaper alternatives, really cheap. If you're asking me, I would just go with the original. Just buy Tuscan leather and call it a day. That's it. That's where I went, and I have no real need for others. But it is I would say it's a blend that I really do like. So if let's say I blind bought a fragrance and it smelt like Tuscan leather, I wouldn't be ultimately mad, depending. But yeah, so back to Godolphin. First and foremost, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, much appreciated. Even if you are subscribed, you should be smashing that like button. I'm looking at you. Please, much appreciated. Just get me into that influencer realm where a lot of people are with their free bottles of Godolphin smiling, you know, smile for the camera, code's down here. It's great. So Godolphin, let's take a look at the note breakdown. And yeah, there's lots to this. There's some, I see a lot of florals. I do see some of overlaps in regards to the notes that are in TL here. We do see some green notes in here, so might go a little green, but there's some vanillic, ambery, there's some woods here, and of course that leather. That is the main scope of Tuscan leather. That and that raspberry. That's what people talk about. And that is the, you know, it's not the only theme in Tuscan leather. You can go check out my review on it. There is obviously some minimal nuances, but a lot of people talk about the fruity note and the leather note, and that's it. So this was released back in 2010, Godolphin. This is an oldie PDM. So let's sniff it out. I'm going to put it on the strip. I got the strip right there. And then we're going to put it on skin. It's going to be my scent of the night tonight. For all you fine folks, probably going to be scent of the day, because I'm going to be releasing this during the day, in the morning, usually in the morning. So there it is. The boxes used to, I remember the boxes at Godolphin, and this is how old I am. And this is probably how old or how weird my memory is. And I might be wrong, but I recall that these PDMs, the older PDMs, used to have pinstripes. Used to be really busy boxes. And they used to have like this big, I don't know if it was a sticker, because I don't own any of them. I didn't go into the Free Bottle Brigade back then. But the stickers, or they weren't stickers, if they were fairly big, and now it's much cleaner. I actually like this presentation than the pinstripe personally. So big gold and part of the metallics line for a reason. Heavy bottles as per usual, heavy cap as per usual. Nice presentation. Nice to have a all gold. This will be nice for the gram, right? If you got an all gold bottles, this is an addition to it. So it's nice to add that to the all gold lineup. Let's sniff out Godolphin. Atomizer, solid as per usual. I'm not poo-pooing the atomizer. So let's smell Godolphin and let's see what we get. Oh, yeah. Tuscan leather. A lot of saffron in this one though, eh? Saffron's in the note breakdown, hopefully. Yeah, they put it in there, okay. Saffron, leather, something fruity, berry-like. I don't know if it would be raspberry. It's more some florals, jasmine, and vanillic tendencies. So there is some sweetness too. Lots of saffron. There is some green nuances. Like I was saying, I think there's thyme in here. That would make sense. So there's like a vegetal green nuance in this release. It seems less robust, less... Tuscan leather is such a... To me, it's such a mainstream leather. Like, it doesn't have any bite. And a lot of people new to the fragrance industry or new to niche and all that, they will find that this fragrance is quite bold Tuscan leather. And that might be one of your appeals, or it might be one of your things that you don't like. I don't find it generally, personally for me, and again, that's where my nose is at this point. That's a very... Tuscan leather to me is like tobacco vanille to me. It's just a... you know, when you think mass appealing, I think Tuscan leather, tobacco vanille, oud wood, all those private blends are mass appealing. I really, I hardly think when I wear these fragrances, I know that I can wear them well. I never pick up Tuscan leather and go, oh, this is going to be too daring. Obviously, if I'm not going to wear it in the high heat of somewhere, I'm going to go in a sauna and start spraying 20 sprays of it. But wearing it accordingly, there's never a thought in my... Like, when I'm thinking of wearing something dark, mysterious, leathery, this is probably the last... Not the last thing, but it's more of a... I don't want to say pedestrian. It's a classic fragrance theme. So that's where my mind goes when I smell Tuscan leather. Some people go different and find that it's too bold, and this would be probably more up your wheelhouse, because off the strip, this thing seems, I don't want to say watered down, because that's, I hate using that word and that term. It's a good term to use because it really says that everything's bogged down a bit. And I could see that people may gravitate towards this because And again, I hate that term mass appealing because whatever. What does that even mean? And it means probably something different to different people. I think Tuscan leather is mass appealing. Why? Because it's got tons of clones, but other people think this is daring and crazy. Whatever. Okay, so I feel like this thing's a lot more pedestrian. Is that a bad thing? No. For the price point, I don't know. It seems like the leather wants to push off this strip, and it really isn't pushing. Let's wear it. And people are probably saying, oh no, he's wearing like 10 sprays of Godolphin. He's going to kill the room. Yeah, much softer than Tuscan leather. And Tuscan leather, again, you can, proof's in the pudding. I've had my bottle since 2010, 2009, 2010 is when I started getting into Tom Ford private blends. Like that's when, this was an early purchase for me. Probably first 4 or 5 bottles. This was probably top 3, I think. I think it was Tobacco Vanille, then it was Tuscan. I think it was number 2 in my collection. And this is my original bottle. I still have quite a bit left, actually. It's almost at the halfway mark, and it's almost at that point that I'm like, oh, I might need a backup bottle. But yeah, so this one has some green nuances. The cypress wants to jump out. The thyme, which is also green nuance. So there is some green facets. There is some complexity to the release. I like that. Some cedar in here. There's some woods. The saffron is definitely central in here. I'm getting lots of that. And again, saffron can, if you don't know saffron can give out a leathery touch in a fragrance. It does here, definitely. It feels like it wants to be big and bold, but it really isn't. And it's exactly, like this fragrance review is kind of boring because it's exactly like what I felt about Wajan by Parfum de Marly. It tackles one of my favorite fragrances of all time. Tuscan Leather is, Homme d'Argilé is apple pie in a fragrance, by the way. Beautiful scent. Penned by Jean Trudel, Hermes, absolutely gorgeous. One of the better, I think the best, Hermes essence in the collection. And that's just me being me because of my personal taste. Homme d'Argilé is definitely up there as one of my favorite fragrances of all time. 100% as a gourmand lover. Tuscan Leather has this soft spot in my heart, my fragrance heart a little bit. Not as much as Tobacco Vanille because that was my first fragrance from the brand, and I'm talking about private blend line. So Tobacco Vanille will always have that feeling that it was my very first private blend, my very first bottle of it. I still have my original bottle. It is down to hardly anything. And again, it's just like Tobacco Vanille Tuscan Leather. It's a very signature scent worthy scent for me, and I live in Canada, so I wear it a lot. But Tuscan Leather is not as high on the list because when I want a big, bold leather, this is not where I go. I go to, leather ouds, Moraziario's leather, cuir. A lot of these leather-based fragrances, Cuir Canage from Dior as well, among others. There's tons. Leather is one of my favorite notes of all time. So this thing right here, Godolphin. So pros and cons. Well, it's not unique, obviously not. The leather's not as big and bold that I would like personally. The fruity aspect is a little less clear, we'll say. It's more like a berry. It's not a specific raspberry here. It's less leathery. It's a cleaner version, less rough. I kind of like the rough edges of Tuscan Leather. Again, in the PDM vein, it's not worth PDM pricing, especially retail. At discounters, I wouldn't hate you for it. I really wouldn't. And this is just me being fair, right? You can call me a PDM hater if this fragrance review just went sideways. But Godolphin, again, I'm being honest. Like I don't have a big gripe on brands. Some subscribers think I do, but Yeah, I don't like PDM, but I'm going to call a spade when I smell it on the strip. I don't care what the sticker is at the top as far as scent profiles go. And is this a better version of Tuscan Leather? Of course not. Is it on par with Tuscan Leather? No, it's not. Is it in the midst of all these clones? And I don't know. I'm not a big clone guy. I can't even name 10 Tuscan Leather clones or whatever, like inspired buys. I don't, that's not me. I'm not a batch code guy. I don't look for, one like Golden Boy. Remember that Duetto? And this is going to be for my old school. That was it was one of the first Tuscan Leather clones out there that it was like a yellow bottle with black writing all over it. Ooh, I might get the color of the bottle wrong. But anyway, and it's funny how this fragrance game is, that was such a hype back then. And now, like, nobody talks about that one. I don't even know if it's still on the market. But, yeah, it's got a lot of less of everything in this one. But it's a classic DNA. But, yeah, if you're asking me, is it a bad scent? No. This definitely does not smell like a Versace Eros. It doesn't smell like a cheap designer fragrance. It smells like the counterparts here. Now, but not as good, right? You jump down. Now, if you get it at discounters, like some people say they get PDMs for 120, 110 bucks at discounters, Godolphin, I wouldn't be hating on you. That's a good set, but do your research. If you don't care about clones and things like that, you probably could find something under $100 for this set profile, honestly. That's my personal thought process, but yeah, I'm not going to hate on Godolphin. Yeah, not bad. Lots of saffron in this one though, eh? And a lot of the green notes pop off, so interesting. It might be one, a Godolphin would be one of those fragrances that I wouldn't mind getting a 10 mil, 30 mils, have just a little bit of a partial bottle of it and that's it. That's where I'm at with that one. Yeah, that's it. So Godolphin. You can find this one at fragflex.com if you wish to do so. Use my code TFG10. You get 10% off site-wide. It doesn't have to be this release, but hey, a little more lighthearted PDM fragrance review. It's been a while since I've done one of those. It's been a lot of pretty bad releases coming my way from PDM. This is one of the originators, but anybody that knows me knows that this kind of review was coming. I was just going to say it smells like this, and it does. It has small nuances, and I feel like it's more pedestrian than Tuscan Leather. And I feel Tuscan Leather is personally a pedestrian recipe, which is fine. That's not a knock on it. It's something that I feel, again, I feel it doesn't have much wow to it anymore, personally for me. It doesn't have that. It's still a good release. Tom Ford Tuscan Leather Intense, though, we got to talk about that one on the channel, don't we? So now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in the comments below. What do you think about Godolphin? Hey, you can even congratulate me in the comments if you wish to do so and let me know. Hey, Mark, finally, a PDM fragrance review with some positives. And why not? If they're going to release a scent that smells like the scent profile I like, I will say it. However, again, I'll say that I like it, but if it smells like something else, I'm going to call it out as well. And as far as price point goes, retail, no. Hell no. But discounters, I could see that, especially if you don't own this. If you own this, well, redundant purchase, honestly, redundant. So as always, a great pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your Tuscan Leather based fragrance wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one. On to the next PDM. Let's find another one for me.